got a lot to talk about today, guys, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, check out this mysterious light phenomenon or object or whatever it is over the volcano El Popo in Mexico. I've shown a bunch of videos from El Popo. They have live feeds, monitoring this site, and there's a lot of really intriguing UFO activity over this volcano, as well as other volcanoes. I don't know what this particular thing is. It certainly looks anomalous to me. I don't think that's just a cloud. Is that a plasma craft or even a plasma being? What is that thing? Or do you think it is just a cloud or can be explained by some sort of mundane means? But there is so much UFO activity over this volcano and others. Clearly something is going on, whether they're coming or going from underground, citadels or, cities, and using the volcanoes as a means of doing that. Who knows? I don't know why they would need to do that. If you've seen the awesome Skinwalker Ranch episode where that UFO is going through the solid rock of the mesa, it goes in one end and out the other end. These things are transmedium in more ways than one, not just going and coming from water into air, but also seeming to be able to pass through solid rock. I think I actually saw one do that one time. So I don't know why they would need to use lava tubes to come and go through from subterranean cities, but maybe that's what they're doing. Or maybe they have some other reason for coming and going and congregating around volcanoes. Some might think it's a power source or something like that. I don't know why they would need a volcano as a power source if they've got 0-point energy and the like, but let me know your theories because they're doing it for a reason. What is that reason? Meanwhile, we've got Avi Loeb, of course, talking about what's it called, ThreeI Atlas. In particular, Anna Paulina Luna has expressed interest in this object.
And on Tuesday this week, just a few days ago, I had a phone call from Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, who asked me for an update about ThreeI Atlas. And I mentioned this to her, and she wrote a letter to NASA on Thursday last week, just 2 days ago, in which she encourages NASA to look into the possibility of using Juno as a probe of ThreeI Atlas.
Okay, well, that's really interesting. I wonder what they'll discover if they decide to look into it. Let me know what you think. Are y'all really excited about ThreeI Atlas or concerned about it? What's your temperature on ThreeI Atlas? Meanwhile, there has been apparently a change in Chris Bledsoe's thoughts on Easter 2026. Now, Chris Bledsoe had been saying he had been drawn to cliffs in southern Utah, where he believed that one of his experiences with the lady might have taken place. And he had even, said that he might go there Easter 2026 when he thinks that something marvelous might happen, where the lady, he thought at the time, might actually appear from that cliff in Utah to a mass audience. And I've said repeatedly, if that actually happens, if he actually goes there and expects that to happen, I'm getting a tent and I am going out to Utah. I'm going to camp out and await the coming of the lady. But now there might be a change in plans. Chris might actually be going to the Sphinx.
In a related sort of message, this just happened. Everybody probably has heard the rumored story about 2027. 2026. The 2026 is based upon best-selling author Chris Bledsoe and his message from the lady, and that event is supposed to take place on Easter of 2026. And I contacted Chris last night, and I said, "Chris, are you going to be at the pyramid and at the Sphinx on the 26th, just before sunrise?" He said, "Yes, I'll be there." I said, "Well, I'll talk to Desta. We may join you." So anybody who's interested in going to see this event, if anything happens there, Easter of, I think it's April 5th, in Egypt, let me know. Desta's a tour guide. She'll set up all this kind of stuff. And it's like you buy the lottery ticket. You're probably not going to win, but maybe something will happen. And it's an interesting place to see. So
Yeah, so that's really interesting. I'd be curious to see what shifted in Chris Bledsoe's thinking. Obviously, if you're familiar with Chris Bledsoe and the lady, you'll be familiar with the lady's prophecy. And it does mention the Sphinx. So, maybe that's why he's made this change. Again, I'd love to hear Chris expound on that. But either way, let me know if you're planning to go to the Sphinx on Easter 2026 to await the coming of the lady. I've got to think about that one, but let me know if you would be inclined to do that. If I had the time and the resources to do that, I definitely think I would be interested in doing it. Okay. Meanwhile, did you know that Sammy Hagar is an experiencer? That's right. Famous legendary musician Sammy Hagar had an ET or paranormal contact back in the day. And thank you, Don, for sending this to me. I hadn't heard this story before.
100% happened. 4 o'clock in the morning, pitch black, dead sleep. I felt like I was being programmed. I like someone was tapping into me, like it was a string from my head to 13 miles up on a mountain place called Lyle Creek. And I know right where it was, this little foothills. At the foothills, there was an object there. There was 2 people in it, 2 creatures in it. And it was I want to say it was 64, 65. It was so there was no remote controls. Yeah. There was no satellites. There was no computers. But I sensed they were tapping into me somehow. And they went, oh, he's waking up. All mental telepathy, they just did the communication went in my head. He's waking up. They yelled out a numerical code, not of our numerical system, as and it went. And I could almost feel the plug, like an electrical charge, leaving, zapped into their ship, put a light on in the ship where I see shadows of these creatures. And I woke up in my house, in my bed. My room was infinity white. I couldn't move, I was completely paralyzed, my eyes were open, and all of a sudden, bam, it just went black, and it was the time it was, and I broke sweat, and I was shaking, and I felt like my body was so drained, from that moment on, I believed in UFOs. I started looking into astronomy. I became a junior astronomer, and I started figuring out. Till before that day, I never.
Anyway, he goes on. I had no idea that Sammy Hagar was a junior astronomer, let alone an experiencer, where apparently aliens or beings of some sort, whatever they were, higher dimensional beings, astral beings, who knows what they were, trying to link up with him psychically, which is fascinating. So many musicians specifically seem to have been contacted by beings that may have given them inspiration and who knows what. Uri Geller tells an interesting story about John Lennon and an interesting artifact that beings may have given him that was passed on to Uri. Is it because they're more intuitive, more imaginative, and they are more prone to these sorts of things? Inventors and mathematicians also seem to be prone to this sort of stuff. Tesla, Einstein, and others seem to have had direct contact, potentially influence or inspiration from NHI. It goes right up into the present day. The Dragon, Tim Taylor himself of NASA and of Chris Bledsoe fame, an inventor, a very wealthy guy, a very interesting character in all of this. Also seems like he receives inspiration from NHI that may have affected his own patents. Really, really interesting stuff. Patents and music both seem to, at least in part, have an NHI origin or influence in some way. Let me know what you think about it all in the comments below. Meanwhile, more and more people are talking about the amazing research and findings of Dr. Beatrice Via Roel. This is from an article, New Space Economy. Mysterious sky transients potentially tied to nuclear test in UAP reports. And it's a very nice article going through the findings of Beatrice, Dr. Via Roel. Astronomers have long puzzled over brief star-like flashes in old sky surveys that appear and then vanish without explanation. A recent study examines these transients from the Palomar Observatory Sky Survey conducted between 1949 and 57. Researchers analyzed over 100,000 such events to check for connections to above-ground nuclear tests and sightings of UAP, often known as UFOs. The work draws on data from that era before the first artificial satellite launched to explore whether these flashes relate to human activities or unexplained events. And it goes on to talk about the transients and the findings of Dr. Via Roel and these really intriguing objects that she was able to find and is now, making the public aware of. Super fascinating stuff. I can't wait for a deeper dive into all of this. And there seems to be connections to other researchers and findings from other researchers. I shared one with you the other day, and there are others who, like Patrick Jackson, who has his own theories about how things work. And there seems to be some correlation there. And Dr. Via Roel might even work or collaborate in some fashion with Patrick Jackson. I'd be very curious to see what form that would take. Now, Polarity Josh had a really interesting take on these sky transients, and I'll play that here.
When you just hear that, like, in the 60s, we let off nukes in space, it's like, oh, okay, we're fucking psychopaths. Science have just come out with a paper saying there are reports from the 40s and 50s of, like, thousands and thousands of UFOs sitting in our atmosphere, not moving, just kind of parked there. You guys have probably heard about starfish and bluegill triple prime. Okay, these were nuclear tests done in the 60s in space, essentially. And if this stuff is real, which, I feel like it probably is, it makes a lot of sense, right? When you just hear that, like, in the 60s, we let off nukes in space, it's like, we have no context for that. So we understandably are like, oh, okay, we're fucking psychopaths. Because that's how it comes across. Like, you just think of some mad scientists like, let's blow nukes up in the atmosphere. It's like, why would you do that, you psycho? Well, maybe because in the 50s and 60s, they were privy to these studies and were like, holy shit, it seems like there is a whole bunch of unidentified things sitting, coming and going, and just sitting stationary in our atmosphere. Maybe we should do something about it. When you just hear...
I thought that was a fascinating take. So let me know if you think they were trying to get rid of the UFOs orbiting the Earth, as revealed by Dr. Via Roel's findings, by blowing up nukes in space back in the day. Meanwhile, do you remember the Vinka Culture? I've made several videos talking about the Vinka Culture of ancient Europe. A really fascinating culture that left figurines that look very alien, like this. And it's really interesting how often Vinka in the Vinka culture comes up in the research. It's weird. Something seems to have been going on there. I don't know what it is. Well, History Content has an interesting idea here. I thought I'd share it with you. What if the Vinka script appears so suddenly and fully formed because it wasn't developed by its users, but was the last remnant of a language inherited from a much older, lost civilization? That's right, we're talking about Atlantis, guys. We're talking about Atlantis. Could this be an Atlantean language or something akin to that, some offshoot or derivative of Atlantean language or Lemurian, some sort of lost ancient civilization? Is that what could have, led to this? And, maybe the ET contacts that those older civilizations may have had, could be what's represented in those figurines. Maybe they passed that down too. Unclear. But it's really fascinating. I asked Grok about the language. The Vinka script, appearing around 5300 BC in southeastern Europe, predates the Sumerian script by over 1500 years, challenging the traditional view of Mesopotamia as the cradle of writing, with evidence from the Tartaria tablets suggesting a sophisticated, possibly inherited system. Just really fascinating stuff. So let me know what you think about that. Meanwhile, sent to me by Tim Clark comes another ghost running across a football field or a soccer field. It's called soccer, guys. But look at that. Look at that amazing ghost running across the field. Or do you think that's some sort of camera artifact or something? I showed another ghost running across a sporting event, an American football field, yesterday. And today we've got one going across a soccer field. That is wild. You don't need to go to a haunted house to see ghosts, guys. Just go to your local sporting event. That was crazy. Love it. I love it. Why are they there? Is it trying to play ball? What's going on there? What is going on there? Is it streaking? What is happening with this crazy ghosts? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Speaking of the paranormal, from UFO Mania, Bigelow Aerospace publishes a video of what looks like an orb in a being inside a sealed room. When asked what the video is about, they responded, it is an orb recorded in a highly secure Bigelow Aerospace facility in Las Vegas. Absolutely nothing could get in or out of that particular structure, but yet something did. I want to say I've shown this video before, but it's worth watching again, since it is coming from Bigelow. Really interesting. Sealed room, not a dust particle. Good stuff. Credible source. Sealed room. Something really interesting is going on there that is a metaphysical, paranormal, exotic, non-mundane orb that we are looking at. A great capture of something really interesting. I would love to know what orbs are. In ghost hunting, we would see these things sometimes and we would capture them. Sometimes they would be singular like this one. Sometimes they would be interactive with people. Sometimes they would appear like in the hundreds, just rippling out of nowhere. They're super fascinating. There's connections with orbs and also aliens, Bigfoot, spirits, you name it. They seem to be connected to just about everything. So what are they? I think it would be useful to know. Are they, some sort of consciousness? Is that a soul we're looking at? What are we looking at when we see an orb? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Meanwhile, for those following the UAP Disclosure Board, and I certainly am, they helped organize the recent event in Congress. Matthew Pines has joined their advisory board. So they say, we are honored to announce that Matthew Pines has joined the UAP Disclosure Fund's advisory board. His long track record in strategic intelligence and national security analysis will be invaluable to our push for transparent, evidence-driven UAP policy. I'm proud to join the advisory board of the UAP Disclosure Fund to help drive informed public policy on this vexing and pressing issue. UAP are no longer friends, they're a matter of national security, scientific inquiry, and democratic accountability. By uniting professional voices across science and policy, we can help our institutions confront this challenge with rigor, integrity, and transparency. All right, well, I can't wait to see what you bring to the table, Matthew. Last but not least, some foxes wait their turn for some food. Let me know what you think about these awesome foxes getting along so well, waiting their turn, and everything else covered in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel. They don't all feature awesome foxes like this, but they're pretty good. So check those out. See you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.